wild dolphins, trying to help people to preserve the dolphins, both the humpback and then also the
Irrawaddy.
Irrawaddy dolphins. And then also very active in Tawau Park. So, I mean, you've got quite a few projects going on, actually. But today we're going to be talking about reforestation. So I'm going to hand it over to you now.
Yeah, thanks, Lisa, and thanks, Joanna, for especially for doing all the nitty work, the poster sharing and everything. So thanks for having me here, and thanks, Eliza, and thanks for everybody who joined us. Let me invite Nicholas back in. We have Peter and Lucia both in the Netherlands, and Ramon, I think, is also originally from there. Lucia is, I think, in Netherlands as well at the moment, and so is Peter. Wait, let me have one more person coming in. Gijissa 000. Okay, good. Welcome. Okay, so I'm just going to start soon. Let me just get into my slides and let me do an introduction. By the way, guys, in case we have another problem, like if the technical problem, if the Zoom time runs out or something happens, just re-click this link again. It's a recurring sharing link. Let me just share my screen. Okay, I can only see Lisa and Lucia. Can you guys see the screen in front? Okay.
Yes,
so,
you can.
Okay, so like Lisa introduced me, so my name is Chavez, and I'm from One Stop Borneo Wildlife, originally from Brunei, but I'm based in Sabah at the moment, on the island of Borneo. So we're doing many different conservation-related projects, and we develop long-term sustainable tourism projects to help wildlife. So today what we're going to talk about is a rainforest restoration and basically rainforest reforestation, a reforestation project. These reforestation projects are not new. We are not inventing the wheel here. They have been happening on Borneo for many, many years, decades actually, some of them. And they have evolved over the years. In the past, there have been instances where people just used to replant trees and they didn't know what they were planting. They were just planting for the sake of replanting. Some were doing either genuinely because they were frustrated, or they were doing it as a PR thing, and they might have been planting wrongly as well. So these have been some of the cases in the past. In many recent years, there have been very successful and amazing reforestation projects on Borneo, particularly in Sabah, Sarawak, and some in Kalimantan. And now people know what they're planting, and they're very good at it. We are in particular planting figs. FIGS. These are not the edible figs in Europe and the States. These are the wild figs, eaten by wild animals. So why do we need reforestation? Very simple. It is to reconnect fragmented forests and to recover the lost forests. Yeah. That's the problem on Borneo. Monoculture, palm oil, softwoods, and etc. Logging, and the forest patches are here and there, and it's basically to reconnect them. If we have more corridors, maybe more wildlife will go through as well. Some of the rarer animals, like the clouded leopards, for example, it's been proven that they prefer to use rainforest. They'd rather be in the rainforest. They don't want to walk through the palm oil plantation or disturbed, highly degraded forest. They like logged forest, but monoculture they don't like. So same thing with helmeted hornbills. Hornbills in general are fine. They fly over plantations, they eat there. But helmeted hornbills, they don't like flying over monoculture and so on. So that is one of the reasons why reforestation. This picture over here is my home. That's over there is the forest. That is Tawau Hills Park. Okay, that's the national park where I'm based in at the moment for the last 4 years, as the east coast of Sabah. And the picture where it's taken, as you can see left and right, is palm oil. And the picture where I took it from, okay, behind me, at least 6 kilometers away, there's a small fragmented forest. Now, actually, that is our real goal, to connect Tawau Hills Park, which is a 29,000 hectare forest, has 336 species of birds, 104 species of mammals, 84 species of frogs, 50 species of snake, thousands of insects, and the list goes on, to reconnect it with the other forest reserve, which is on the other side. So we have to plant through this plantation. This is the biggest plantation in the world, Sime Darby, the biggest palm oil plantation in the world. Actually, we have been in discussions with them since last year November, and one of the reasons why we were motivated to come up with this idea was because Lisa visited us, and a few other PNHS members visited us last year, and they were very frustrated to see some of the plants growing on the side of the trails in the park, which will be cut down by the rangers because they want a clean path. So we thought, why don't we just plant these trees in the plantation, right? So long story short, 1 year down the line, we're going to sign an agreement with this plantation, all right? And there we're going to create a 7 kilometer long wildlife corridor planting fig trees. So that's about to happen in a few weeks. So how do we find figs? How do we grow them? You might be thinking, right? How do we do these reforestation things? So I've made the slides in steps. Step one, you could do this in Brunei as well, by they were anywhere else. Step one, find fruiting trees. How do you find fruiting trees? Either you follow animals, either you just go on the forest trail, you might see fallen fruit, or you just know if a lot of animals are calling for one area all the time. There's some maybe fruiting activity going on. Sometimes you follow gibbons. Gibbons like figs. It's been proven, and gibbons like fruiting trees in particular. So we just sometimes follow gibbons. And gibbons are not like hornbills. They don't just run away kilometers away. You can actually follow them slowly. Hornbills are a bit more tricky. So we find fruiting trees. Okay, that's number one. On the left is a female rhinoceros hornbill eating a ficus cucurbitana, and on the right is a gibbon eating a fig as well. Number two, okay, this is how we find figs. Sometimes we do night walks and we find bats eating figs as well. That's a bat eating fig on the top right. It's a green fig. On the left is a pigeon eating a fig. Hornbills are at night. At night, sometimes when you shine your light at trees, sometimes you are more likely to spot fruiting trees. That's from our experience. So we try to apply different methods of finding fruiting trees. Once you've found a fruiting fig tree, we try to collect it. So on the left is a fallen fig, or maybe you're just walking random in the forest and you see a fallen fig and okay, this is fallen fig. And then we sometimes stay put and observe and see if any animals come. On the lower left is actually the poo or the feces of an animal, of a civet eating a fig. We try to collect them. Okay, that's step two. Step three, we try to map it out. Any place, any location where we know where the figs are, we try to map the fruiting trees. So in the future as well, we can always go back to them. We know, for example, on the map in front of you, I have written in yellow ficus cucurbitana. I know in particular helmeted hornbills, and hornbills love this fig. So that's why I've written it over here. So in the future, we can always come back to this fig, either to collect it or bring tourists or whatever. We try to map it. Step four is mark coating and seed growing. Now, what is mark coating? I'll show you in the next slide, and seed growing as well in the next slide. On the left are some of the fallen fruits which we observed hornbills eating, and on the right, I'm doing mark coating or air layering. What's the difference between mark coating and germination from seeds? In mark coating, the success rate is very high. Let's say you mark coat 20 trees, maybe 18, 19 will survive. Yeah. However, you can only market so much because it's a bit slow. Germination from seeds, you can maybe germinate hundreds and hundreds or thousands of seeds, but many will die. The mortality is higher. So we try both. Mark coating is basically, as you can see from the pictures, is you take a live branch. Let's imagine my arm over here is a branch, of a tree. Basically, imagine this is a scissor or a knife. You basically cut a little bit from one side, or all of my one side of the branch. Okay, you take a piece of soil, with some plastic sheet below it, or damp the soil a bit, and then you close it. Okay, and within 3 weeks or 4 weeks, roots will come out, because we're actually fooling the tree that this is, we're basically fooling the tree that, hey, this is a different branch and, it needs roots, or we're basically fooling that particular branch, saying that, okay, I'm now displaced from the main tree and I'm growing in roots. And that's how we try to get our cuttings and mark coating, but it has to be done on live trees. Not, you just can't do a cutting. With cutting, mortality is very high. Germination from seeds. We take the seeds, as you can see in the picture on the top right, we dry the seeds first as much as possible, And then we put them in the trays on the left. Okay, and that's me and one of our members, Mala. She couldn't attend today, and that's how we try to put them in the tray. How? Through here on the top right, we try to first fill the trays with the soil. We try to sieve them as if possible. Then we mix the fig fruit with the soil. So we mix it up as much as possible so it disperses it. And then we just sprinkle on top of the soil. So on the left are some of the trays. On the lower left is 2 weeks old fig trees growing. And on the lower right is 2 months old fig trees. So that's what we have been quite busy with the last few months during these lockdowns, basically building our nursery. Step 5, we need to have a good nursery. You need to have staff there. We need to make sure they water twice a day minimum. There needs to be a bit of shade and a bit of care and love. I'm not very good with the last bit, but I'm very good with the watering bit. So we have a good management of system, but that's what we need. Step 6, grow them. We go in the field and we try to plant as many trees as possible. So yes, and why are we doing this? Well, this is the expected result. Hopefully in 10 to 50 years, the patch of forest or patch of empty land will become something like this, full of trees. It may not look this thick maybe, but maybe in 150 years it will look this thick. But hopefully the trees which we are trying to grow in 10 to 15 or 10 to 50 years within this period, we will see results. That I know for sure. And that's the idea of our nursery and reforestation projects and so on. And that's how we do it. So the latest project site, which is about to start, is called Plant for Tawau. On the top right, you can see in the green bordered line, that's Tawau Hills Park. And on the left, near there's some housing settlement where, okay, I'm using my, oh, no, I can't. Oh yeah, I'm using my mouse. This is the other forest which we're trying to connect. This forest with this along the plantation. So this is what we call Plant for Tawau because, well, it's in Tawau city. But this project like this could take place anywhere. Yeah, it could take place in Brunei, in Sarawak, and anywhere around the world. Yeah, Thailand and so on. But this is the new project we're starting, growing figs, and we're gonna replant the whole area. We have estimated we can replant between 6,000 to 10,000 fig trees. So that's our latest project. It's going to start at the end of this month or early November. We're going to sign a MOU with the Sime Darby plantation. So how do we know if this works? Well, that's what we have been doing so far. We've been growing the figs and so on. Now I'm going to show you a quick case study of another project which we have been doing for 2 years now. And we have planted 1,100 trees there. But another organization has planted 5,000 trees over there. So we know these things kind of work if we do it right. The next project, the case study, is Plant for Borneo Elephants. Long story short, most people, if you want to see elephants on Borneo, you go to forest reserves like Kinabatangan and Danum. A lot of people don't know, a lot of elephants are found in palm oil plantations as well. But nobody goes to palm oil plantations because of the taboo and the stigma attached that they are very evil and so on. That's a very complex debate actually, and that's not 100% correct. But we're not going to go into the political debate of side of things, but we're working with a plantation, a softwood and palm oil plantation, which has around 60 to 80 elephants. So what we told them, why not? We told them, why not? We bring in visitors, researchers, scientists, tourists, etc., whatever. We come in, we plant some trees in a wildlife corridor, which they have gazetted. And in the afternoon, we do a 4-wheel safari looking for elephants. We will provide you money. We will create local jobs. We are acting as rangers and so on. Of course, most likely they were thinking of the money bit. They were like, oh, you're crazy. You're going to bring in Europeans and Americans to our plantation to see elephants. And I was like, yes, I will bring. And they couldn't believe it. 2 years down the line, almost 3 now, this is a very successful project, and hopefully it will be viral in Sabah and in Thailand and other parts where elephants are found in plantations. So this is me when the project started 3 years ago. This is just for show-off purposes. When you are visiting and seeing elephants, you have to stay in the vehicle. Unlike Lisa, you guys were lucky; the elephants were really in the distance, so we could, get off the car. So these elephants are pretty tame in this plantation. As you can see, the background is a softwood plantation. Those are albicea trees. The wildlife corridor is not far from where I took this picture. Okay, and the elephants are very chill. They're happy. They're breeding well. Look at this. This is grandma, mom, and a baby. This is how we do our 4-wheel safaris in this plantation. I think some more elephants in this plantation. So this is a before picture, and after picture I'll show you maybe in 2 years time. This is an empty land, part of the corridor, and we have now replanted this whole area with trees actually. So in 2 years time we'll show you another picture. This place will be full of trees. On the other side, which is green, was also empty but has been replanted by this plantation over the last few years. So as you can see, this is the wildlife corridor, and these are all the trees which we actually have been planting the last 2.5 years. Some of them very fast growing trees, and they're doing well. So these are some of the tree planting processes. This is our small nursery. Different species we're growing. And now, like I said, the advantage of a project like this so far, 2 years down the line, is that we act as rangers, because most of the elephant deaths are happening in plantations. But now we act as rangers, and we can spook any suspicious behavior. If you see any suspicious behavior, we can try to inform the authorities. Economic value. We bring in money to the economy, to the state, and we create jobs. And that's the idea, the long-term idea. We are a very small fish in the sea, but the idea is to spread this model. Last year, the damage by elephants in this plantation was 30,000 ringgit Malaysia. Not a lot for some people. Sorry, the damage by elephants was 5,000 ringgit in this particular plantation. We raised 30,000 ringgit from our project alone last year. 30 minus 5, 25,000 ringgit is a profit for the plantation. Not a lot for some of people, but for them it's a lot, because they have been incurring damages for the last 30, 40 years. Now they view elephants not as pests, but as an asset. They're not a liability, but they're an asset. You can make money out of them, or you can use the money from tourism to at least balance off the damages made by the elephants, or at least they don't want to in a hidden way try to poison them or murder them, which is happening, all over Southeast Asia. So basically the future for our projects are, at least in the plan for Tawa and the plan for Borneo elephants, is that we need to do more tree planting, more fruiting trees. It's been proven that if there's more tree cover in a corridor, elephants and other wildlife will go there, because it's cooler and they're just hidden from the open plantation. Our idea is also to plant not just figs, but more napier grass as well on the side of the roads, because elephants actually like napier grass. Yeah, that's how it is. They like grass, but we don't want to plant grass only, otherwise the corridor would only cater for elephants. But we actually want to plant other trees for other animals. Selective fencing. Usually plantations on Borneo, they fence the whole plantation, but actually this makes elephants even angrier and other animals, because they're hungry, so they become hungrier and they break off the fences, and that causes more damage. So we realize selective fencing is the answer, basically. You only fence the young palm or young trees. So, and I think more tourism and reforestation tourism is needed to sustain these projects, because we use tourism profits to run all these projects. And some of you from PNHS have already witnessed it yourself. You have been part of the projects. You came by yourself, and that's how I think that is the future. But in the near future, maybe not. COVID-19 is still around and borders are closed. Now, how can you guys make a difference? There are many ways you guys can make a difference. You guys can come by yourself to Borneo, Sabah, to our project sites, and you can buy a tree and plant it yourself, and we'll put your name on it. That's one. Number two, if you're a lecturer or teacher, and you could do a class trip, you can bring your class, because with your class you can plant more trees. More trees, the better it is. Number three is for the people in Brunei. On October 25th, there's a fundraiser being organized, if I'm not mistaken, at PNHS, and it will help the reforestation projects. And if you guys want to do your own fundraisers for reforestation projects, you can do that. And the last one is basically a suggestion: a PNHS plot can be provided as well, like a separate section full of figs, and saying it's a PNHS plot or something. This is one way you guys can make a difference. Or the least you guys can do is just spread the idea and share it to your friends and family. Even if you don't get involved, I think that's the least anybody can do. These are our contact details, but I think most of you know our contact details, and you can always reach out to Lisa or directly to me or Joanna, and we can always get in touch. And I would like to say thank you for listening to my short presentation. I hope it was pretty clear and simple, especially the plan for Tawau bit and how we do our reforestation projects. I'm going to stop sharing the screen now. I let this moment be now it's open debate. If anybody has any question, whether you agree, disagree, suggestions, any question, please throw in your questions and let's have a discussion. You can either raise your hand or just unmute yourself, please.
Yeah, hi. Hey, great stuff. Looks very nice indeed. So it looks like you have been able to really work well together with the palm oil plantation managers and organizations. Do you have further support as well from the forestry department, from the government, how do they see about this? Are they very supportive? I hope so, but do you manage to get that traction?
Yes, in Sabah, this is why I like Sabah. Not saying anything else, but this is in Sabah, the government and the people are very supportive of these kind of projects. You know, as long as you do something positive, people are supportive and they like it. You know where we get the problems? We get problems from other NGOs because some NGOs might want to have fame. They're like, we are the only guys, dogs around in this town. We don't want other people new coming in. It's their idea, and so you guys are non-biologists. How come we come up with this idea? Sometimes they can be rifts over there and so on, but nothing official. But actually, to tell you the truth, from the government perspective, the forestry department perspective, 100% on board. Forestry department even offers to give us land, to grow our figs. Say, hey, we can help water them and take care of them. So to answer your question, very supportive governments.
Great.
Anybody?
And how's the situation in Brunei? Are there any cases for Brunei? Obviously, there's much more forest in Brunei, but are there considerations for also some corridors? Obviously not for elephants, but there are areas where you might consider some reforestation as well.
Maybe somebody can answer that, but at least what I remember from my knowledge is Brunei does not have so many fragmented areas like Sabah and Sarawak yet. So,
absolutely, that's right.
But I think there's a lot of degraded forests, especially in Tutong, Kuala Balai area, and maybe on the side of the roads of these areas we could have reforestation. I think we have more peat swamp being burned, but I don't know how to help in that area. Brunei has potential for a lot of reforestation. Especially of fruiting trees. At least, yeah. But maybe somebody else has an input on or insight on what is happening in Brunei. If there's any replanting, I'm new in this field.
There is a national initiative going on to plant 500,000 trees by 2035 or something like that.
Okay, that's thanks, Joanna. Well, Peter, there is something. I did read something on the news, but I don't know the details.
Bess, where are you getting all your information about fig trees? Because we were, it's really tough around here. We would like to plant more fig trees. There's one nursery that sells them, and they sell them at like $50 each, and we don't even know if these are the kind of fig trees that animals like.
Yes.
So I mean, what would you recommend around here? Because unfortunately I can't be following all the monkeys right now.
Okay, so to answer your question, there's three ways to do this. Number one, in the chat box, I just sent a link, borneoficus.info. You can learn about all the figs found in Borneo. Okay, this is by Quentin Phillips. He's the author of the Mammals of Borneo book and the Birds of Borneo book. He's actually a fig expert. So that's the website over there, borneoficus.info. You can also always email him regarding figs if you have any questions. And those $50 figs, take a picture of the fig or the tree, send it to me, and I'll tell you within a day or two, and I'll tell you if those are the edible figs from Europe or States, or are they the wild figs? Yeah. And that's one. And third way is maybe you could send somebody from PNHS over and we could just give them a short few days course on how to identify figs, and it's pretty easy, actually, we found out. I'll send you some information on how to identify figs, but on that website, there should be some. One way is to know that if if you break off the leaf, usually some white latex will come out. That's one way. The other way is usually the leaves are not growing next to each other. Let's say this is a branch and there's a leaf branch coming out. Usually they're not in the same order. Like maybe one is coming from here, the other one from there. I don't know what's the English word. I'm forgetting the English word. And there's 2-3 other ways, but I can send you the details on how to identify figs in Brunei. And yeah.
Yeah, this is this is Nick here in Brunei.
Hi, Nick.
We've probably got 4 dominant species on the camp that seem to be seeding really well, based on natural regeneration. There's a group in Kuching, a few botanists and a few interested horticulturists who are sampling the forest for figs and growing them primarily from cuttings at the moment, with the intention to seed donor trees with these rooted strangler figs. So it's I think it's Malaysiana tropicals, which is a company that micropropagates a variety of tropical fruits and vegetables, but they're also doing some really interesting work on dipterocarps as well as figs. But there's a lot of work going on with figs at the moment in Sarawak, and they are collecting a huge diversity of figs from the forest. So there's some interest and the potential, maybe joint working ideas with them as well, or even though they're kind of a commercial company, but there are some real research botanists behind them. And yeah, it'd be great. I had this crazy idea of forming this kind of like guerrilla gardeners group in Panaga, where we would just be putting these strangler figs in various trees we didn't really want, such as the eucalyptus and the acacias, and they're very quick to establishing these trees as donor trees, and eventually they will outpace them. But there's a very healthy population of figs on Panaga. I remember, I was here between 2008 and 2013, and in the season when the figs were ripe, the whole trees would just be sitting there in the garden, shaking gently, with a number of birds and mammals, harvesting the ripe figs. It was really interesting.
Are you still there at the moment?
Yeah, I've come back, so I'm here for another 4 years.
Nicholas, whenever you find these figs, could you mind taking a picture of it? Of
Yeah,
the leaf
sure.
or the fruit,
I'll send you
send it over?
Yeah, I'll send you the main species images. Happy to
That
do
would be
that.
great. And the Kuching guys, if you have any connections, that's great, because I only know Shen Li over there, and I didn't know there was somebody doing on commercials level. So this will be great. Maybe they have some other tricks and techniques which we can learn from. In Sabah, in East Coast, there's a guy called Dr. Zainal. He's growing them on a commercial scale for reforestation projects as well. And that's how we actually did our training course with them on how to grow some of them. So it would be great to know. Yeah.
Brilliant. I mean, definitely fruiting trees is the way to go to really encourage the wildlife, a variety of whatever variety.
And it's, if you know that particular fig tree in Panaga, for example, if you know it's always fruiting and it's always doing good, that is the best tree to use as a mother tree. Just take the fallen fruit and grow them. That could be a class project. Like I said, I could even give an online lecture on or class on how we do this, literally.
That'd be very cool.
It will take 15 to 30 minutes. Just an idea for PNHS guys, Joanna and Lisa and everybody out there. Just a kid project. Everybody grow a fig at home, and you could use it for replanting. And it's very simple, straightforward,
Yeah, and even introducing to the kids the idea of clonal propagation versus seed propagation, and just showing them the different approaches and the different outcomes as well. Loads of great school ideas for that.
No, that's good. Yeah, exactly. When I think you were there in the earlier part of the slides. I was just showing how I do it with the seeds, dry them, and then put them on the soil. I think that's a great soil. That's a great class project, and meaningful as well. Anybody else has any question? Just please unmute yourself and ask.
Thanks so much, Chavez, for the talk. Very interesting. Certainly would have some guys here who would love the class project. Question, as I am involved with that charity auction later in the month, for about $100, how many trees or how much area of land would that actually reforest as part of one of these projects?
I have a calculator in front of me. I'll tell you right now. $100, that's 300 ringgit, 300 divided by 20. That would be around 15 trees planted, and 15, And that would be including the maintenance of the trees for, yeah, maintenance of the trees. So 15 trees would be planted.
Great, thanks.
Yeah, and are you a teacher as well by any chance?
No.
Okay, but we have some wildlife chapter created as well for the young kids at home. And if you get in touch with me on my email, we'll send this chapter over to you, and then we can also stay in touch and talk about other projects.
Perfect. Sounds great.
Any other questions, guys?
Sometimes on camp we have these tree planting initiatives. Could you give us some tips on like main things to watch out for or things not to do? Like common mistakes on tree planting initiatives.
Well, I'm very new in this as well, so I can only share with you from my 2 years experience and talking to other people who are in the same field. But the best is try not to plant the tree in the soil too early. Yeah, try to plant it when it's at least half a year old, so at least it's strong. That's my, I think, best advice. Try to do that. And it depends on the species. This is where a lot of people make mistakes. The dipterocrop, for example, the hardwood tree, the Borneo forest is famous for these hardwood trees. If they're young and you plant them in the open area, they'll die. I guarantee you they'll die. They don't like hot sun, they'll die. So if you do plant them, try to put a shade on top of them for a few years. So that's my advice. Trying to plant the tree too early, especially if you don't know the species. Yeah, don't plant it too early. If you do, put a shade on top. Yeah, that's why make your life easy. Grow figs or laran, Laran. Very fast growing trees. They are very good. That's my advice, I guess. And yeah, I think that's the best thing I can say. But my advice would be try to plant something which you regularly see fruiting.
Okay, thanks.
Yes, so with the planting that you're doing in the palm plantations, and I know you're focusing on figs, are you gonna plant any of the hardwood trees? Yeah, because I saw a bunch of in one of your pictures, you had a bunch of the seedlings that were doing pretty well. Where will you plant those, Shabazz?
So we're gonna plant 90% to 95% figs. 5% to 10% will be the hardwood dipterocrop trees. We're actually telling the plantation, the land they're giving us to replant, we told them don't cut down the palm oil trees. We need the palm oil trees. Actually, that's the best thing. Now our mortality rate will even go lower because there's shade. So we can plant the hardwood trees. We can put the fig trees in the ground and on the palm oil trees. So we can plant 2 times, you know. So we will plant non-fig trees as well, but not so many. Why? My long-term goal is you plant the fig trees, the animals will come from the forest, they'll bring in the fruits of the other trees. So we are making our lives easy, just plant figs. But yes, 5 to 10% will be the dipterocrop hardwood trees, which we find along the trails, if you know what I mean. Yes. Anybody else has any question, please?
Is there any scope for planting other trees inside the existing palm oil plantations, or not in terms of a corridor, but interspersed between actively, used palm oil plantation?
So not
Yes.
in the corner.
So not in a corridor, but in an area where they're actively collecting palm oil.
Yes and no. The only way is to put strangler figs. So just dry the seeds, which you showed you in the pictures, and it's like sprinkling. Just throw it on the tree. Just throw it on the palm oil tree.
That would kill the palm oil trees.
Yes, but don't tell this. Good thing we have nobody from the plantation here, but that's what we're gonna do. We're gonna go rogue. we're gonna do that. Just throw some seeds on the trees and so on.
Would it be bad for the palm oil trees if there were taller trees around them, like if they were in the shade eventually? Does a palm oil tree need a lot of sun?
Good question. I don't have the answer to this. So yeah, but all I know is if you grow the figs on the palm oil tree, the palm oil tree may not necessarily die, because a lot of palm oil trees actually have growing figs on them and with fruits, and it doesn't necessarily kill them. It's just a hassle for the workers. So we will go for the approach and populate, disperse those figs everywhere.
Well,
But yeah.
you know, Chavez, the palm plantations, the trees, I believe, become at their peak in between, I think is like 10 to 25 years of age. But then after about 25 years, they start to produce less and less, and often they'll go ahead at a certain point and chop all the older palm plantation trees down, and then they'll regrow another set that will bear more fruit. So there's probably something within that cycle that maybe it can be worked a little bit harder with how to best time planting other trees within that cycle. And we can talk about it offline, but it is the palm plantation does have a rhythm to how they are growing their trees and what they do. So there might be something more.
Yeah. So yeah, these are other details which we can discuss perhaps in later times. Yeah.
Yeah, I'll send you the link to this group in Sarawak, because that's what they're actually doing. They are now growing dipricots from cuttings and also these figs, and they're planting them in the palm plantations. And the business proposition for the palm plantations is that you can, contrary to a lot of dogma, these dipricots will grow into a harvestable tree in 20 years. So they're intercropping with the oil palm, and that they can demonstrate that they're not having a significant impact on the productivity of the oil palm by intercropping with these dipricots. And I think they're trying to do the same with the figs as well. So I'll send you all the links to this company.
Please do, Nicholas. Nicholas, in case this Zoom link times out soon in 2 minutes, do email me the link. Yeah, I will wait for them.
I'm connected through to Lisa, so there's no problem.
Great. All my social media I've written down in the chat box.
Brilliant. And when the COVID goes away, we'll drive up and see you as well.
Yes, please do. Anybody else have a few questions which I can answer maybe quickly?
Chavez, thank you very much for giving us the presentation. Really appreciate it. It's always great to see what you're up to in Sabah, and hopefully we can get out of the country soon and be able to visit again. It's
Yes.
If anybody has not been to Wow Park, it is just truly spectacular, the wildlife and insects and everything that you can see up there. So highly recommended. If anybody has more questions on the trips we've already done, be happy to share it as well.
Yes, thanks, Lisa. And yeah, I can't wait for you guys to come over, plant some trees. Thanks, guys. I think time is going to run out soon because I'm not on the subscription of Zoom. Joanna, I just want to say thank you so much for organizing this.
No problem. All the hard work from you.
Yeah, we'll stay in touch. We'll do some more workshops and talks like this, and hope to see you soon. Everybody, have a great evening, morning for some of you. Jenna, I will email you later on. And thank you, guys. You have a wonderful day. And Lucia, I'll talk to you after this in a different link. Yeah. And thanks again for your time, everybody. And yeah, take care.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks a lot. That was great.
Thank you.
Cheers.
Bye.